I think that's why I love watercolours so much, because it's so fun to mix your colours. But there are definitely some things you need to know when learning how to mix your colours. So I'm going to point the camera down. I'm going to show you some of my favourite colour mixes. So let's dive straight in. If you're going to follow along with me today, grab those paints and some paper, grab some scrap paper so you can practice. And let's have fun with this. When you're colour mixing, you can mix onto palettes or you can mix onto paper. I like to do a bit of both. Favourite palettes to use are my ceramic palettes. I've got quite a few of these palettes now, and these, I love them. They're my little stackable palettes. I will leave a little link to these because these have been quite popular actually. I don't think a lot of people know about these, but they're amazing. They do come in a pack of 5, and what I suggest doing is to add your strongest colour first. And what I mean by that is, if you want a colour that is more blue than the other colour you're going to mix in, let's say we're going to mix in a yellow to make a green, you want to add your blue first, because if you add your yellow first, you're going to end up adding more blue to that paint to make it more blue, so it's more wasteful. And you just make sure that you get your strongest colour on first, so you can just build up the colour. I've just added the tiniest amount of yellow, and say I want to make it a little bit lighter again. So I could start off with my darkest green, and then I can make it lighter again by adding a little bit more yellow. Let's show you what happens when we add the yellow first. I want to make this a nice dark green, so I'm going to add a bit of blue, and it's still a very light green compared to this lovely dark green. Even though we've added quite a lot of yellow to this, because we added blue first, we were able to gradually make it lighter. So because blue as well is quite a strong colour, you want to add your strongest colour first. Now, because I've done it this way around, I'm going to have to add quite a lot of blue to get a darker green. So it's just a bit harder this way, I find. What you want to do is start off with your strongest colour. Let's say we're going to make a purple. I'm going to add my blue first, and then I'm going to add my pink. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because red or pink are such strong colours. So I'm just going to add the tiniest amount of pink to get a lovely violet. Because I added my blue first, it's more of a blue violet now. So let's see what happens when I add the pink first, and let's add a little bit of blue. You see how that's more of a pinkish violet now, because it's got more pink in it compared to the one where I put the blue in first and then added the pink. One thing I do want to say is, when you're mixing your colours, try not to add too much water on your brush. Because I've got quite a lot of water on my brush now, I'm actually adding more water to the paint, which helps to dilute the paint down even further. So I'm going to rinse my brush off now, and I'm not even going to rub it on the side of my jar. I'm just going to pick up a bit of my blue, and because I've got lots of water in my paintbrush still, and water in my paint as well, this is becoming really, really light. It is completely up to you, obviously. If you want to have a really light colour, then you can do this. But if you want your colours to be nice and dark, you don't want to add too much water to your paint. Say, for instance, I was going for a nice dark colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my alizarin crimson, and I'm going to just pick that up straight from my palette. I've taken most of the water out of my brush, so there's not much water in my brush. And can you see how thick that is? So there's hardly any water in this paint now, and that's exactly what you want to do. Now, when you rinse your brush off, what you want to do is rinse it off really well in my water jar. My water is a bit dirty at the moment, but I have got 2 clean jars of water next to me. And then what you want to do is just take off most of the moisture out of your brush. Don't dry it completely, because you do need to have a slightly damp brush when you pick up paint. So I'm just picking it up nice and sticky, and then I'm going to add that to the paint. And can you see now? Well, that is actually just a really lovely dark purple. So you want to make sure you haven't got too much water in your paint, too much water in your palette, in your mixing palette, and too much water in your paintbrush, because otherwise you're just going to dilute the paint. When you start off with your colour mixing, you want to start off with 3 colours: your blue, your pink, or your red, and your yellow, because these 3 colours are the starting blocks to mix in other colours again, even neutral colours like greys, blacks and browns. Have you ever found that when you're mixing your colours, you're becoming really frustrated because your colours are not coming out as fresh as you hoped, and you're kind of making a muddy or dull colour? This green that I've made here is more of a dull green. And it's not as vibrant and fresh as if I mixed these two colours together. So I got the same yellow and I'm just going to change up the blue, and that's changed the colour of the green completely. So now we've got a lovely fresh green. It isn't a natural green. So of course there's a time for this colour mixing and there's a time for this colour mixing. But if you're looking for fresh colour mixing, I'm going to show you a really easy fix for that, okay? Because this is something that I've had to learn with my painting journey and I'm so glad that I did. The reason why this colour turned out more of a dull colour is because I've mixed a cool yellow, which is lemon yellow, with a warm blue. Ultramarine has got a little bit of red in it. So you add in the third primary colour, which then creates more of a dull colour. Lemon yellow leans more towards green, and red and green are opposites on the colour wheel. So when you add complementary colours together, they help to dull each other down. I don't want to confuse you too much, so I'm not going to cover complementaries too much today. I will do that in a different video. The reason why this is more fresh is because this is a cool yellow, which leans more towards blue. And this was mixed with phthalo green, which leans more towards yellow. So then those two colours don't contain the third primary, which is red. Lemon yellow doesn't have any red in it. Phthalo green doesn't have any red in it. And they lean more towards each other. A simple fix for this is to have a set of warm primary colours and a set of cool primary colours. Honestly, if that sounds like a load of jargon to you, don't worry about it. It did with me as well. And it's taken me a long time to figure this out. But now I'm going to help you. So I'm just going to cover all the colours that you can try, so you don't have to even think about this. I will even add this in my description box for you as well. These are your cool primary colours. So cool pinks can be alizarin crimson or permanent alizarin crimson. Permanent magenta, so I've got quinacridone magenta, it's the same sort of thing. And then permanent rose as well. So your ideal cool blues are your phthalo blue. This could be green shade or red shade. Close to this is the Winsor blue. This is actually green shade, and this is by Winsor & Newton Professional. So this is another name for the phthalo blue. They've just called it Winsor blue. And then your Prussian blue is also a really lovely cool blue. Then for your cool yellows, a really good favourite of mine is the lemon yellow. And this is just Winsor & Newton Cotman. And then Winsor lemon is very close to lemon yellow. And that's in the Winsor & Newton Professional range. So here are your cool primaries, and I will do a little colour mixing chart as well to show you the different colour combinations you can get with these. Then for your warm primaries, some good reds are Pyrrole Red, Cadmium Scarlet or Cadmium Red Light. I've only got Cadmium Red Pale Hue. The ideal warm blue is a French Ultramarine. And then for your warm yellows, an Indian yellow, which I haven't got, but I will get soon because I really want that colour. New Gamboge, if you haven't tried it, honestly do it, it's beautiful. And then Cadmium Yellow Medium. I do like to use my Hansa Yellow Deep as a warm yellow. This is my favourite yellow to use. Today I'll be using my Cadmium Yellow. Let me show you the colour differences that you can get from mixing warm and cool primaries together. Let's take our permanent alizarin crimson. And we're going to mix the cool red with a cool blue. So I'm going to take phthalo blue. And what I'm looking for is a lovely fresh violet. I am going to add a bit more of the alizarin crimson because phthalo blue is a very strong colour. No matter how much you try to get a fresh violet with these two colour mixes, it's not going to happen. Can you see how that's quite a dull purple now? It's still a nice purple, but it's a bit more of a subdued colour. It's duller. And the reason for this is because permanent alizarin crimson is a cool red, which means it's got a little bit of blue in it, and then phthalo blue has got a little bit of yellow in it. Yellow and purple are complementary colours, so when they're added together, then they're going to help to dull each other down. So that's the reason why this is happening, because there's three primary colours mixed together. You've got a little bit of blue in this. You've got the blue with a little bit of yellow in it. So that's three primaries mixed together. What we're going to do now is mix the alizarin crimson again. And we're going to try this with a warm blue. This is French Ultramarine, and I'm hoping for a fresher purple. I might have to add a little bit more pink. I don't know if you can see the difference because they're not dried yet properly, but the difference is this is more of a fresh violet, and that is because the alizarin crimson's got blue in it, the French Ultramarine has got red in it, so they sort of lean towards each other, and they've not got that third primary colour, which is yellow, in any of those colours. Let's mix this cool red, which has got a little bit of blue in it. And we're going to add phthalo blue. Phthalo blue, remember, has got a little bit of yellow in it because it leans more towards green or leans more towards yellow. And that is still a beautiful violet, but it's going to be more of a dull violet. So ultramarine has got a little bit of red in it, so it's going to lean more towards the pink. And look at the difference. You're going to get a lovely bright purple compared to the one on the left, which is more of a dull or darker purple. You see how fresh that is, the difference. I'll do this with quinacridone magenta as well. What I did was I mixed the cool pink or the cool magenta with a warm blue. See what happens now when we try to mix a nice green. So I'm going to add my phthalo blue. Let's add my cadmium yellow to that. Let's try and get a nice green. So the green that I am getting, more of a olive green, so it's more of a dull colour. And that is because I've mixed the cool blue with the warm yellow. So this is great for landscapes because it's actually more of a natural green. If you wanted to have a really fresh green, so a really bright green, you want to mix a cool blue with a cool yellow. And can you see the difference? It's almost luminous now. It's a really fresh, bright green. And obviously this is going to look quite unnatural if you're painting landscapes or anything like that, but sometimes there is a place for this. Like for instance, when I painted one of my bright parrots for my Skillshare class, I used this lovely colour mix. Let's check my Prussian blue, and I'm actually going to use another warm yellow. I'm going to use my Hansa Yellow Deep. So this is a warmer yellow. I just want to show you that it doesn't just work with the cadmium yellow, it can work with any warm yellow. So look, that's creating more of an olive green now, so it's a bit more subdued and it's not as fresh or bright. And I'm going to mix this Prussian blue, which is a cool blue, and I'm going to mix this with a cool yellow. And that's created a lovely fresh green. Look at that, that's beautiful. I love this green as well. This is actually one of my favourite greens, like an olive-ish green, but I do like this as well. So it all depends on what type of colour you're looking for, and that's why it's a good idea to have warm primaries and cool primaries, because then you can get lots of different colour mixes with those 6 colours. Let's mix up an orange now, and I like to use an orange because this is one of my favourite ways to demonstrate this, because it does make a massive difference. Let's try it with permanent alizarin crimson to start with. So this is what confused the life out of me when it comes to the reds and mixing the bright yellows. I thought it would be a good idea to have a cool red and a cool yellow. So let's try that out. So this is a cool red. Let's mix in our cool yellow. So that's going to make a beautiful bright orange. And look at that, it's more of a brown. So no, it hasn't created a lovely bright orange. Let's add a little bit more yellow just to make that fair. And still, it makes more of a mustard colour rather than a bright orange, okay? So the reason for this is because this lemon yellow leans more towards green. So it's more of a blue leaning yellow. So you've got your red, your yellow, and then a little bit of blue in the yellow, which makes 3 primaries together. Also, because this has got a little bit of blue in it and we've mixed an orange, blue and orange are complementary colours which help to dull each other down. So because you're adding the complementary colours, I'm not going to confuse you too much. Let's just say we're adding the 3rd primary and that helps to dull it down, okay? We're going to add the permanent alizarin crimson. We're going to try and make a brighter orange, or a nice fresh orange. So let's try and mix a cool red with a warm yellow this time. So I'm going to use my cadmium yellow. So this is my warm yellow, mixing it now with a cool red. So I've got cadmium red light, which actually I just do not like it. I hardly use this, it's more of an orange red. Now let's mix that with a warm yellow. So because we've mixed a warm red and a warm yellow together, you're always going to get a lovely bright orange colour. Look at that, that is actually really lovely. And I only found this out by reading my book. I'll show you what book I've got now. This is a brilliant book and I would highly recommend this page here. It's helping me so much. This is page 59 and this is the book that I've got. I will link it down below for you. So we've got a warm red mixing it with a cool yellow. This orange on the right is not as bright and as fresh and as clean as this colour on the left. It's more of a mustard. It's hard to see the difference sometimes on camera. What I like to use for my perfect primary blue is my cobalt blue. I think this is the perfect blue to use as a primary. If you mix this cobalt blue with the likes of permanent rose, you get the most beautiful violet. Look at that, that's stunning. This is the reason why I like using cobalt blue as my primary colour. Let's see what happens when we mix cobalt blue mixed with permanent magenta or quinacridone magenta. Also makes a beautiful violet. I think it's because cobalt blue doesn't have any yellow or any red in it, so it's just a nice neutral pure blue. You can also mix neutral colours like browns, greys and blacks with these colours as well. So you don't need to go out and buy loads of colours of ready-made blacks and greys, which is, to be honest, what I did as a beginner. But I just wanted to show you that you don't need to do that. If you've already got the colours, you don't need to go and buy extra colours. One way to make a neutral is to mix the 3 primary colours together, and you will want to have a play around with this to get the perfect colour mixes. So I'm going to mix the blue, yellow, and then because we've made a green, what we're going to do is add the 3rd primary, which is red. Red is a complementary colour to green. So when you add those 2 colours together, they're going to help to dull each other down and they're going to create more of a neutral colour. So can you see how that's already neutralised that? That is a really good way of darkening your colours. So I've just made a dark green by adding a little bit of red. If you wanted to make more of a brown, just play around with your colour mixes. So I'm going to add a bit more red. See if we can make a brown colour. A grey colour now, that's actually really nice. And then if I want to make more brown, I could add more yellow. So I'm just mixing on the paper here. So by mixing 3 primary colours together, you can make greys and browns. You can also make black. I want to pick this up nice and thick though. So I'm going to use permanent alizarin crimson, or alizarin crimson in my case. Picking up a little bit more of my red. And because I've got hardly any water in my brush, look how dark that is now. So I've made the most beautiful dark. It's a very dark blue, not a black, but when we paint, we don't have to have black in our watercolour paintings. Let me just dilute that to show you what colour I've just made. So it's a beautiful sort of, it's very close to indigo. But that just goes to show that you don't need loads of colours that are pre-made. You can actually use the colours that you've got. As long as you know a little bit about colour theory, and this is a really easy way to learn colour theory, it's just by playing around with your colour mixes. Mix your primaries together and maybe make a colour chart, or just get a big piece of paper and just mix those colours all together and just have a play around. Let's see what happens when we mix permanent rose, French ultramarine, or ultramarine in my case. So that's made a purple now. And what I want is either a grey or a brown. It's got a little bit of yellow now. And I'm going to dull that colour down. So because these are complementary colours, they're opposites on the colour wheel. And they help to subdue each other. So can you see how that's created like a dull colour now? So it's more of a brownish colour. If I wanted to make that more brown, I just add a bit more yellow. Can you see how easy that is? So have a little play around with your colour mixing. If you've got any questions, please reach out to me because I know this can be quite confusing. But I find this so useful to actually have just 6 colours in my palette and then just play around with the colour mixes. If you get confused at any point in this video, I'm so sorry. I've tried to simplify this as much as I can. Thank you for watching today, and give me a like if you like this video because it helps my channel to grow. YouTube will show this video to more people and then I'll get found better. I'm a small creator, I'm a mum to 4 children and a dog, so I need all the help that I can get. Thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for helping to support my channel. It really means a lot to me. Have a lovely time practicing your colour mixes. Let me know as well what your favourite colour mix is because I'm always looking for new colours to try. In the next episode of my watercolour tips series, I'll be explaining the most important part of learning how to paint in watercolours, and that is your water to paint ratio. So check that video out next, and if you haven't seen any of my past videos in this series, go and check those out. I've made a playlist on my channel. Have a lovely rest of your day and I'll see you soon. Bye. I'll also show you step by step how you... And the lighting's just changed completely in my room. I am having so much trouble with the lighting in my room today. The sun is constantly like this. Look, light, then dark. I don't know what's going on. I honestly don't. I've had to put a curtain over my blinds that are next to me right now because the sun is shining so harshly onto my face. It's making my face look bright white and then red on this side. I've got a little light over there. Anyway, let me know if you, what are your favourite